All right, we are live. Welcome, guys, to IQ session number 8. It is good to have you here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I'm sure you're a little bit curious as to what we're going to talk about. Men don't listen. How good's that, Matty Dean? What?
What do you say?
I think we need to start off with a disclosure here, is that everything we're referencing tonight, when we talk about women and we talk about men, we're talking about the generalization of women and men. Now, of course, there's going to be feminine men and masculine women and all that kind of thing. But please go with a bit of grace. It is very much generalized advice.
Yeah. It works on a rule of 80-20, and every business, every organization has done the same. 80% of what we're going to talk about, it applies to, and there's 20% of people that sit outside that. So you may know the people we're talking about in 80%, but they may sit in the 20%. It doesn't matter. You're going to listen to it because you play to the masses. And the masses of men, this topic, it suits and it makes sense for. The 20% is an exception, yes, but the reality is that we're playing to the masses, because if you play to the masses, you win more often. That's what we're teaching you. So we're playing to the 80%. Your people in your life might fit in the 20%. Doesn't matter, because the world is 80%. Cool, easy, done.
Tick. Well done. Disclaimer done. Now, we did mention the masculine and the feminine as well, because these tips and stuff help for gay relationships too, because relationships work when there's polarity. There's a negative and a positive force, or there's a male and a masculine and feminine force. So if you've ever known a gay couple, one will be more feminine than the other one more masculine. That's how the attraction works. There has to be polarity. So this works for all relationships. Now, it's not just for intimate relationships too. This is if you have any interaction with the opposite sex at all. If you work with them, if you want to have children, if you want a relationship, if you're in a relationship, all that kind of thing too.
The local man at the gas station, how do you talk to him? It's all the same. Cool.
It is. All right. So we really got first introduced to I got shocked into learning about this stuff. We were on a bus trip from Guadalajara in Mexico down to Puerto Nueva. Vallarta, that's it. And it was a long bus ride, and it became even longer because
for me.
my lovely husband found a book on how women should treat men, bought it, and then handed it to me online and goes, "Here, you should read this."
And she said, "I don't listen." She's struggling. I helped her out.
That went down real well. Bray's shaking his head. Anyway, the reason we came across this book is we're very much big into modeling people and finding those that do things that you want to do and they do it better. So, you know, if you want to be a millionaire, find millionaires and learn from them. If you want to be a super rich, super fit, super strong dude, go and find super fit, super rich, super strong dudes so you can model off them. So we have a couple that are friends of ours in America. They are probably the most passionate, in love couple that I've ever met, and they're in their 50s.
Late 40s, early 50s, around that mark there. They're completely all about health and fitness. They're all about learning. They're all about love, and the relationship was what we were attracted to, which is really what it was for us, because the lady in the relationship, she was referencing this book all the time, and I was like, well, I like these guys, and she keeps talking about this book. Sheridan, you should get the book. Oops. And this is where it went down.
Anyway, the book is The Queen's Code. So this is the book that we're referencing a lot of the stuff off tonight. There's a couple of other references too, and we've put them in the notes that we will put up later on. However, if you are there, yes, we do put up notes for the session, but that's mostly for people that haven't been here. It's scientifically proven that if you want to learn something, you can actually retain more if you take notes. So please, if you're a note taker, go for it, but we will have notes to be put up afterwards anyway. So the first point that we really wanted to put across, we've got 5 points today. Point number 1 is men and women are different.
Shocking.
So men don't communicate the same way women do. Men don't love the same way that women do. You know, I'm all about equality and all that kind of thing, yes, but it's just scientific fact and just plain old fact that men and women are different. I have a uterus. Matt doesn't have a uterus. Women can grow babies. Men can't grow babies. That's just some of the things that are different about us. Women talk. Men don't. It's been shown that women have on average about 22,000 words a day to say. Men have about 7,000. So that in itself is a huge difference, just to say that we just talk a lot and they don't. Women are more emotional than men. Women talk to communicate, connect, deeper in relationships. However, men talk to convey facts and stats. You know, you'll often, if you have girlfriends or a partner or a wife or something, you'll know that she talks to get stuff off her chest. She'll talk to unload, to, you know, you might call it venting, whatever it is. Men talk to fix shit, to convey information, to get the stats across, to get the facts. So we're very different in that way. What else have we got here? Women base decisions off emotions and expectations. However, men base off facts and experiences. There's another great example of us being very different. Women make things big and men make things small. So if a woman has a problem, she will make a mountain out of a molehill. That's our way of processing it. We need to talk through it and get through it that way. However, men chunk it down. They make things as small as possible so that it feels manageable for them, so that they feel like they can attack it. Correct?
100%.
So I think that is really the first point that we wanted to get across, is that we are so different. So ladies, if your man's going through something, don't try and make him talk it through, because he's not a woman. He's not your hairy girlfriend. He's a male, and men don't need to talk. There's exceptions to every rule. And especially with mental health and all that kind of thing. However, to fix problems, men fix problems. So hence why a lot of them are into mechanical things, tinkering in sheds, building something, fixing something. They fix something that's manageable, and it fixes the world's problem in their mind. Correct?
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely.
Whereas women, we need to talk it through, and we need to make it big. We need to unload it. For us, a problem shared is a problem halved. So there is a huge example of that we are just so different, and you can't expect a man to act like a woman, because they are very different. And vice versa.
And we often hear like, oh, I just wish he would be more open about his feelings and open about his emotions. And that's completely a lie. You don't actually want them to do that, because then they become the same. And like Sheridan was saying before, polarity is needed in a relationship, because the same gets boring. You don't want a girlfriend to talk to. You've got girlfriends to talk to. You want the opposite. You need the masculine, you need the feminine in a relationship for it to work. And I think understanding that these differences are good, and you don't need the other person to change their differences. That's just who they are, ingrained in our DNA. Like, it's just what we do to be a male, and it's what females do to be females. Again, the 80-20 rule that we talked about at the start. But understanding that those differences are ingrained in them, and you cannot change them, because you don't actually want them to change. But you do need to set them up for success. Yes. And this is where Sheridan's going to come in.
So this may be a very, you may have experienced this situation before. I'll have a challenge, a problem, something, a struggle that I'm going through. I'll unload and vent and talk it through with Matt. Matt's instance is, because he loves me and he doesn't ever want me to be in pain, he wants to fix it. So he comes back straight away with ways to solve the problem. However, I'm setting that up to fail without first saying that, hun, I don't need you to fix this problem. I just need you to listen. Because sometimes for us women, we just need someone to listen, and that's how we solve it when we talk it through. Whereas a man hears a problem and he goes, well, it's really quite simple because I make things little, and it's you just need to do this, this, and this, and problem solved. What's the big deal? Why are you crying? Like, sort yourself out. So step number one, ladies, is if you don't need the problem to be solved by your loved one or by the man that you're talking to, set them up for success from the start and just say, babe, I'm about to share, I need to share something with you. However, I don't need you to fix it. I just need you to listen. He will grit his teeth. This will cause internal pain and like daggers to the eyes, like fingernails down a chalkboard.
It's painful.
But once I've got everything that I need out, he'll quite often go, is there anything more that you need? And I'm like, no, I'm done. Thank you. Could have taken 3 minutes, could have taken 30. Then I need to give him the courtesy of letting him go fix something. Or
watch TV where there's a lot of drama and crap on it, and turn the news on and see drama in the world. And it needs the opposite effect. It has to come into play too. So Sheridan's really good at it because she lets me know, and I hate it. Like, it's really hard to sit there and listen. But she knows that I need time away from her, and I need time to process and fix something, do something, get away from it all. And then once I have that time away, I calm down again, and then she can come and talk to me.
It's kind of like a built-up energy that he needs to expel in some kind of way. So it's a fixing energy. So things by like watching TV, there's problems all over TV that he can fix in his head. That's one way to get it out of his system. Yeah. Anyway, that's point number one. Men and women are different, and we solve challenges different. We do things differently. And if you try and treat us the same, you're just not going to get very far. You're going to end up in frustration, and you're going to pull your hair out.
Yeah. And set the man up to win if you're about to vent. That's probably the big key in that one, man.
Now, this next one is challenge your stereotypical roles. Now, this is more so for an intimate relationship tool, and it's something that we actually got introduced to when we were doing our pre-marriage counselling with the pastor of our church, and it was really, really powerful. So he got us to sit down and even just talk about the household chores. So I grew up in a household where my mother believed that men should clean the shower. However, Matt doesn't want to clean the shower, and he doesn't agree that men should clean the showers. I also, my beliefs from, the way I've been brought up is that the woman takes care of the inside of the home and the man takes care of the outside and things like that. So we actually then had to sit down because we'd never formally had this conversation. And this is one of the big things is communication is key. So if you sit down and have this conversation, I can swear that you'll save a lot of heartache leading forward. So for example, going through all the household chores, taking out the rubbish, who does the washing, who folds the washing, all these kind of things. Now, it's 100% fine for you guys to divvy this up. However, when Matt and I sat down and spoke about it, he hates folding washing. Like, he'll put the washing on, not a worry, but hates folding it. I don't actually mind it. I quite enjoy it. I like it done a certain way. I'm a bit OCD like that. So we decided then and there that I would take care of the folding and he wouldn't. We're both happy in the situation because everything gets folded correctly, things like that, and that doesn't have to do it.
Loved it.
The next one was there's going to have to come in a little bit of compromise too. The next chore on our agenda was cleaning up the dog poo. Neither of us like cleaning up the dog poo.
And on this note, Sheridan's belief was that it was a man's job because it was outside the house. Because, again, that's how she was brought up, that's how their family did it, and that's all she thought it was meant to be. But when we had this counselling thing, it provoked questions. And it wasn't, there's a job to be done. Yes. Do you want to do it? No. Do you want to do it? No. That's okay. We need to come up with a compromise. This is the compromising question, is you don't have to do it. You have to come up with a compromise. We didn't want to pay someone to come into our house to clean up dog shit. So we decided that, hey, let's do it together. So it wasn't an expectation for me to do it because her mum said that it's a man's job. And I didn't expect her to do it because it's pretty gross. So we come up with this compromise, we go out there and do it together. And in that compromise, we're out there laughing, we're having a bit of fun. As soon as all that expectation was off my shoulders to do it because she thought it was a man's job, I didn't mind doing it. But because she expected me to do it, God, I never did it. You cannot expect him to do it or her to do it if that's what you think, if you haven't had the conversation. And we didn't have a conversation. We had an impression on a role that we didn't even talk about. Once we spoke about it and we come up with it and all the expectations gone, I'll happily go out and do it now because it's not a man's job, it's our job. And every now and then Sheridan will do it if I haven't done it for a couple of days. So again, it's talking about dog poo, but it's just an easy one to remember.
But it's replacing expectation with appreciation. And the reason why we bring this topic up is because there's so many things that are in a relationship that go unsaid that just cause frustration. Like I would stand at the sink and look out and see all the dog poo and be so pissed at Matt. We haven't even spoken. Like nothing should generate this other than the fact that I expected him to do something that he didn't even know he was expected to do. So these are the conversations that we found really helped us in our relationship to just kind of kill any excess frustration. Because they're going to happen. It's a relationship. That's just what happens.
Yeah. And we just wanted to set ourselves up for success and not repeat what our parents had done and their parents and the friends' parents and everyone was doing. So we sought help and we realized it came down to a couple of quick questions. What do you like doing? What do you not like doing? And if you both don't like doing something, you have to come up with a compromise. So, and
if you find something that you haven't spoken about, for example, taking out the rubbish out to the rubbish bin. Ladies, if it's something that you want your man to do, you need to tell him what it would provide for you. Because if you're in a loving relationship, he loves you and he literally would kill for you. He would die for you. And if you tell him what it would actually do to provide for you for taking out that rubbish, then he's going to be more than happy to do that. If he knows that taking out the rubbish makes you feel dirty and worthless and gross and unattractive and unsexy and all these kind of things, then of course he doesn't want you to feel like that. He loves you. So, and if he knows that that's going to make you happier and a better person for him as well, then of course he's going to happily take that on and that be a thing. But then the next step of that is then you guys need to come up with a cue of how does he know how to take the rubbish out. Now, ladies, it might seem very, very simple. It's full, take the fucking rubbish out. Not so much, but this is where you can chat about it going, cool, what do you need to know when to take the rubbish out? And he'll often say, if you could just ask me to take it out, then I'll take it out. And that's all it needs to be. However, if you don't have these conversations, then this underlying frustration creeps back in again.
And on that, because the bin is full to Sheridan, I see it as a challenge to fit more in it. So I'm like, it's not ready to go out yet. And you keep pushing it, and I'm strong enough to push it down further, and we get more in it. So in my mind, it's not full. It could be more in it. She sees it as full, and it's annoying because she doesn't want to push it down. I'm happy to. So we have this sort of discussion.
So again, this is the expectations that we are different. And that's 100% true. I'm so glad you brought that up because he sees it full, or I see it full and it's not full to him. And that drives me mad. I'm like, when you pull it out, the bag's going to be broken. So having those cues and setting yourselves up for success in the lead up to know what are the cues and how to go about it. So that is number 2, is challenge those stereotypes on how you've been brought up and what's been the norm for you. And I promise you'll have a much happier household. Point number 3 is probably one of my favorites, and this is play for points, let them win. So women are very complex, complicated creatures.
Preach.
Men are very, very simple. Men also like games. So ladies, let's make a game for them and let them play to win. Now, if it's something like basketball, you've got a 3-pointer, you get 2 points, right? Yeah, 2 points for a normal shot, and then a free throw is 1 point. So, with getting the, how do I follow on from this? Sorry, I've lost my train of thought.
Points, some things are worth more than others.
Yeah, some points are worth more than others. So I'm just going to refer back to my notes to make sure I stay on track. So remember, so you really got to set your partner up to win. Let's say that you guys played on a rugby team together. You're going to protect your man. You're going to set him up to win. You're not going to throw the ball into a heavily defended area. You're going to throw the ball into a clearing so that your man isn't going to get tackled and hit and knocked out by the fridge of a man that's coming on the other side. Now,
on that, ladies, you like to do that. You set us up with loaded questions. And that's not setting us up to win.
Do I look fat in this?
Yeah. These questions are loaded. They're
ladies,
stupid questions.
If you're asking that question,
you know the answer.
Yes, your ass looks fat in it.
If you're asking, and that's what Sheridan's talking about. That's throwing the ball to someone in an area which they're going to get pummeled. Now, that does nothing for a man. A man doesn't like to lose. So you are setting them up to fail, which means that it's not fair on them for you to do that. It's a stupid question, and it's not just that's an example that everyone knows. So, but that's what you got to be aware of, is those silly things like that actually hurt.
So, for the example of a game of rugby, we're rugby fans, so I'm referencing that. You know the rules, you know the boundaries, you know how if you kick the ball through the goalpost, it gets you a certain amount of points. If you get a try, it gets a certain amount of points. If you get a conversion, it gets a certain amount of points. So they know what they're aiming for. We know the rules. We know that if we do this, we'll get pulled up here. If we do this, we'll get pulled up there. That's that kind of thing. Your relationship is very much the same. You need to set him up to win and to succeed. And this kind of references into what we call the 5 love languages. That's another book that I'm referencing now, 5 Love Languages by Gary Chapman. It's brilliant. I've actually got the link for a quiz that you can do to work out what your love languages is. Just really quickly, it's, for example, if I speak Chinese and Matt speaks French, we're not going to understand each other. So you can receive or give love in 5 different ways: touch, gifts, quality time, acts of service, and words. I'm a words person. Matt is not. He's a gifts person. So if I only give him words, that's giving him low points. That's giving him 1 pointers. If he gives me words, that's 3 pointers, etc., etc. So this 5 love languages, that's just a brief covering to kind of get you up to speed with what we're talking about. So if you guys communicate the rules and the point system, we can set each other up to win. So for example, I am a words person. One day I came home and I'd actually communicated to Matt that my love tanks were a little bit low. It meant that he probably hadn't given me many words recently. I came home to a picture from our wedding day on our front door with a note to say, "This is the best day of my life. I love you so much."
Aww.
Oh, for me, that was like 3 pointers, bang, 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 bang. He was like, the scoreboard was going crazy. However, if I had done that for him, it would have been like, why'd you waste the paper? So you got to realize what the points are, what the score is, and how to score them.
Yeah. And one of our members, we learned this lesson because these apply to everyone. There's not, I'm not like that. You like love in one way and you give love another way. Those 5 things are how it's done. And we gave one of our members, Jade, she referred like 17 people to come and join FBFM. So we're like, oh my God, let's get her a gift. And we gave her this, she likes to drink. So we gave her a voucher, like $100 voucher to go get to Dan Murphy's. And we got a thanks. She values gifts at like nothing. She doesn't even like them. We gave her a gift, which we thought like, yeah.
And we're like, oh my God, this is going to be so well received. And I was like, oh yeah, whatever.
We're like, oh. And we didn't get what was going on there. We thought, oh, she's a bit ungrateful. Like we didn't get it. But she just doesn't see value like I do from a gift.
For her, it's a 1-pointer.
Yeah.
It's not a 3-pointer. However, if they had given her a 3-pointer, that would have spoken huge amounts to her.
So we go out of our way to find out all your love languages as best as we possibly can, so that when we're grateful to you, we like to try and express that love language to you. Not necessarily just a gift. It's more like if we think you're a words person, we'll deliver you words in some way. If we think you're acts of service, we'll try and come and do something for you. And we really look into it. But all men and female are the same with this, but it's just understanding those 5 love languages. so that you can set the other person up, like Sheridan was saying, to win. And most couples, and most men, I think, most couples don't take the time to learn it. They think they know it. That's the worst part. And so this quiz Sheridan's talking about is really cool. You can jump on and do it, but you should do it for yourself. Get your partner to do it if you've got a partner, and guess what you think they are and see if you're right, because you might surprise yourself. Like, oh my God, I'm way wrong. I didn't know Sheridan was words for ages, and I'm not a words person, so I never gave her words. It just wasn't in my vocab to give it to her because I'm just not, I don't value it like that. And she always wanted to say, I love you. And I'm like, yeah, I love you. Whatever's, you know, I married you, whatever, we got this. And that's how I looked at it. But she was just pouring in and pouring in. I'm like, yeah, I get that. You told me yesterday, stop. Like, because it doesn't do what it does for Sheridan. And if I don't say it for 1 or 2 days, she's like, what's going on? And so you've got to be on the same page.
And so bring it back to playing for points and playing to win. What happens when you score points in a rugby game? You celebrate. You get high-fived. You get cheered.
You get lucky.
You got to let them know they've scored. This is one part where us ladies, we're not replacing expectation with appreciation, and we've just got expectations. And it's like, he should have known to do that. He should know to do this. Well, if you haven't actually spoken about it, chances are he just doesn't actually know. We can't expect the other person to know what we're thinking, especially us women. We are so complex. We have like 17,000 thoughts at once, and as if we can expect a man to catch all 17,000 of them. Come on, ladies. But you got to let him know when he's winning. You've got to let him know when the points have counted, when he's sunk a goal. You've got to let him know. You've got to celebrate.
And a cool way, sorry to cut you off, but a cool way on that one there, by letting them know, is letting them know indirectly. So say Sheridan is talking to a friend and I'm in the room. If Sheridan speaks to her friend about me, I hear my name. I've already tuned into that conversation. So I can hear what's going on. If she's like, oh my God, Maddie did this thing, but this thing with my picture on the door and it said this and that. I just absolutely loved it. It made my heart melt. I've heard all that. I'm like, oh, I know what to do next time. So all of a sudden, indirectly, I've heard that I did good. And it's not, she doesn't have to tell me you do good and pat me on the back like a little dog. It's more like you can share it in a different way. It can be received from someone else, and someone else can come back going, oh my God, I heard you did this for Sheridan. I'm like, yeah, I did. And so those sorts of things, that's letting your partner know that they've done well. You don't have to speak it to them all the time. It can come indirectly. And it's almost more powerful if it comes indirectly sometimes.
It's like the three-pointer. That's a three-pointer. However, if you don't have the opportunity to give the three-pointer, give a one-pointer. Yep. You got to let them know. It'd be a pretty shit game of NRL if the guy got a goal and everyone was just like, you should have done that. That's your job. We got to celebrate, and we got to learn to celebrate. So set each other up to win. Know how to get each other's points. Talk about it. You don't have to talk about it all the time, but at least have the conversation. And then celebrate when you win. And let them know. Let them know they're winning. Let them know that they're. But even if like Matt hasn't won in a little while, I'll let him know that I need a little bit more at the moment. We go through stages in life where sometimes we do need a little bit more nurturing or whatever it might be. But all I have to say to Matt is, hey, my love tanks are just a little bit low at the moment. And I don't expect a response from him there and then. I let him sit on it, and his brain will just tick over and go, all right, yeah, no, I haven't said any words lately. Yep, I haven't.
And a hot tip, if you say something in that moment that she says it, 1 point, if that.
Yeah.
Don't do it then, they'll wait.
Half a point.
Yeah. Give it half an hour and then come back. Maybe you might get a point. Like, don't say it in the moment. It is worth nothing. Lesson learned. We listen to.
Point number 4, listen to learn. As I mentioned before, women and men treat talking very differently. Women talk to communicate and to connect and to build relationship and all that kind of thing. Men talk to relay facts and stats. So in that, when a man is sharing, there's usually a good reason why he's sharing. Sometimes it's very hard to understand the reason, but hang in there, ladies, hang in there. But the biggest thing is that one of the biggest mistakes us ladies make is that we ask our man a question or a man a question. I have this one quite often, more so with my dad than with Matt. I'll ask him a question. Now, a man is a very simple being, so he has a filing system and he has everything in boxes. There's not many boxes in his brain, but there's a couple. And so when you ask him a question, he's got to flick through those boxes to make sure he's giving you the right answers. Because remember, he relays facts and stats. So whatever he communicates is kind of important to him. It's kind of like sharing who he is as a person. So he's not just going to like throw anything out there like us ladies would. So what happens is they've got to go through these filing systems, and that actually takes a little bit of time. However, in this process, us ladies have gone, oh my God, he is so dumb. He doesn't understand the question. I'm going to rephrase it and ask another question. That then stops his train of thought. He's now going to go back into the vault, find an answer for a new question. Again, us ladies, then we get frustrated again, going, oh my God, he's even too dumb to answer that question. It's so simple. We get frustrated and it doesn't end very well. So as long as we know that we listen to learn. So ask a question, and ladies, you got to wait. He's heard you. He's processing it. He's thinking about it, so he can give you the best response that he can give you. And if you ask another question, that diverts the train, and he starts from scratch again. You got to set him up to win. You got to let him win. Because if he can't win, it'll literally end up killing him. It's actually that frustrating and damaging to a man's core that you actually have to let him win. Anything to say on that?
No, just that one story we had when we had one of our afternoon naps, and we get up, and when I wake up, I'm very I take a bit of time sort of to switch into gear and be charging. So I usually have a shower and get ready and then come into work, and then by the time I get to work, I'm awake. But prior to that, I'm in a bit of a la-la state and I'm not really focusing. Well, Sheridan's the opposite. She gets up and she's all ping, 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 do, go, question. And she came in one day and she asked me like 6 different things she wanted to know the answer right on the spot. And I looked at her and I had the common decency to say, Sheridan, you've just asked me 6 things. I'm going to make a rule on this. You cannot ask me any questions until I put on my cape. She's like, your cape? What's your cape? And at the time it was winter, so it was my jacket. I said, when my jacket goes on, you're free to ask away. But until it goes on, do not talk to me. And she received it because she realized what she'd done. Now, she could have gone, oh, don't you talk to me like that and blah, blah, blah. But she didn't. She thought, actually, that's not fair on Matt. I did just ask him 6 different things and expect the answers right now to solve all the problems of the world. And normally I would jump at the chance to solve the stuff, but I was just not in the right space. So she listened to my pain and she learned from it so that I could win. And so now when we get up, she knows until I'm changed and I'm basically walking into the car, there's no questions to be asked. And as much as that might piss her off, it's just how it has to be. Otherwise it pisses me off and then there's a problem.
We had a door knocker come to our door and try to sell us power. And I was in the bedroom holding the dogs so that they didn't run away. And I could hear him talking. Now, I do all that kind of stuff. And so I'm not even sure why Matt's like engaging in the conversation. And he finally gets rid of her like 15 minutes later. And I'm like, why didn't you just tell her no? He goes, babe, I didn't have my cape on.
So just
very funny.
Yeah. Again, I'm just not processing. I'm an easy sell then.
Yeah.
But that's the really cool part is listening to learn, and that's a really key one to do it, is that a male has a process to go through, and until they're ready to answer, it takes longer than probably a female wants. But if you get that, then all of a sudden you can get through the day better. You're not expecting an outcome. You're like, all right, he'll get back to me when he's ready. And that's really cool.
And especially even for people you work with and stuff like that, just give them the time to answer, because there's a process that they go through. They are not women. They're not dumb. They just do things very differently. I think that was a really powerful one that we learnt. The fifth and final point is a bit more of a fun one. It's called transition time. This is something that more so when a guy, you probably would have noticed this when he comes home from work. A guy needs to go through a transition time. So he needs to go from, for example, from work Matt to home Matt. Now, walking through the door doesn't do that. He's got to go through a process to get transitioned into his new environment so that he can be the best version of him. Men want to always be the best version of themselves for the people that they love. Now, doing this, part of this transition time, there's multiple things that could happen. It could take 5 minutes. It could take 45 minutes, depending on who the guy is. It could involve showering, changing the clothes. It could involve what we call fire gazing. Now, the modern day fire gazing is watching TV, flicking a magazine, playing a video game, whatever it might be.
The main ones are watching TV, sitting on the couch, sitting on the toilet, and the barbecue. Those are the three main fire gazing places, and your phone at the moment. So a man will happily sit in one of those 3 or 4 places and just do nothing.
That's another thing. When a guy says they're thinking about nothing, they're literally thinking about nothing. When a woman says we're thinking about nothing, that's bullshit. We're thinking about 700 different things. We're thinking about the socks that are on the floor over there, the dishes that's not washed over there, what we're going to do tomorrow, all that kind of stuff. But anyway, the transition time is kind of like what Matt was just saying about when he wakes up in the morning or after a nap. He needs to go through a transition period before he can give you everything. So what can quite often happen is a husband walks in the door from work. The wife is already home or has been at home with the kids, whatever it may be. She fires 30 questions at him. Hey, babe, how was your day? Tell me all about it. I want to chat. Oh, my God, I haven't got all my words out yet. I've got 22,000 words to get out. Let's go. Couple of things that are wrong here. He's been at work. He's probably already got rid of his 7,000 words. You ain't got not much left. And the second thing is he needs to go through his transition time. He needs to be ready to chat to you. He needs to be in the right frame of mind. So working out what that is for your man can set you both up. So it can avoid you getting hurt. It can avoid him being frustrated as all hell.
Yeah, and one of the cool things about that is that because the male's words are all used up, the cool part is it means that you get to talk away because he doesn't want to talk. But he'll sit there and listen if he has this transition time. If you come in and start that straight away, you fluster him, he doesn't like it. But if you let him transition, then sit down. Well, now you're open to talk to him because he doesn't want to talk back to you. He will listen to you. And so this is the cool part about it. So I learned from one of my mentors, some of you know who it is, K-Man and stuff like that. He makes it a thing. So he comes home, he parks his car, and he likes to wipe down his car because he drives beautiful supercars and all this sort of stuff. So he wipes it down, he goes inside, he yells out to his wife that he's home. He'll be down there in a second. He has a shower, he gets changed out of his work stuff, he gets into his thing, he goes down, he makes a bourbon, and he sits down with the bourbon, he gives his wife Rowie a kiss, and then he sits down and he goes, tell me about your day. And he sips away on his drink. His transition time took about 30 minutes, but he sits there with a drink to listen to her, not to lecture her, not to solve her problems, to hear her. And then Rowie goes, chat. Eventually, she runs out of words, and then he'll just say, is there anything else there? She says no. He has a sip. Cool. I'm going to the couch. And then he transitions to the couch. Now, if she comes back with another question, he stops the TV, turns to her, and greets her with his attention. And then from that greeting, eventually she runs out of words again. And he goes, is that all it is? Yep, cool. I'm just going to go back to the TV now. And then she eventually leaves him alone. So it's this transitioning through the night that all of a sudden there's no bickering, no expectations, no nothing, because he took the time to listen to her. This is the man's side now. You can make it a thing. Give them a beer if they like beer. If they don't like drinking, then just make a thing of it. But he takes 10, 15 minutes to listen, and all of a sudden she can get out whatever she needs to get out, and then he can just vacate. It's really, really quite cool.
And there are 5 handy tips on how to effectively communicate with the opposite sex.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much. This has definitely been a huge passion definitely of mine.
Yeah.
I read, for example, I read the Queen's Code book at least twice a year. You can see that it's falling apart. I think I'm up to like my 10th read of it. I highly recommend Alison A. Armstrong if you're looking for any reading. Her first, the prequel to this book is called The Keys to the Kingdom. That's a really good one for men to read. It talks about stages of development that men go through. To put it briefly, men start off as pages and they go into knights, princes and kings, and it talks about those stages of life. So men going through midlife crises and all that kind of stuff. It really explains what they're actually going through and why they might not marry you yet, or or why they don't want kids before they're married, or why they want kids before they're married, or those kind of things. It really explains a lot of that, which is awesome. The other book that we referenced was the 5 Love Languages. Highly recommend doing the quiz for that for you and your partner, but do it separately so you're not influenced by each other.
Yeah.
And then compare your answers afterwards. It'll rank them, the 5 from like highest to lowest, and you kind of reference your top 2, I guess, is our biggest takeaway from that.
And one of the cool things on the 5 love languages is if you have kids, if you taught them to understand this while they're children, when they go into a relationship, their first ever serious relationship, you're setting them up to succeed. You're not saying, figure it out, buddy, I had to. That's the worst thing ever. If you actually poured into your children and said, all right, let's learn what your love language is and let's talk about this and let's tend to it. So when their birthday comes up, if you're buying them gifts and they hate gifts, you've just struck out. They don't want it. They might get more value out of the card than they do from the gift. So taking your time to teach your kids sets them up for success too. And quite often we've all been in relationships. I know I have. I was in a relationship for, I think it was about 10 years, and I knew none of this stuff. I was trying to figure it out, and I was getting it all wrong, obviously, because after 10 years it still didn't work out. And so you can obviously look at yourself analytically and go, man, I never took the time to figure out what she wanted or what he wanted. And this book makes that possible to win. And I'm grateful that I didn't win that relationship, because otherwise I would never have met Sheridan. And it wouldn't have gone down. I would have gone down a different path. But the reality is that if I had taken the time to read that book, I would have learned a lot about myself and a lot about the partner I was with at the time. So your previous relationships are a prime example of not understanding the love languages. Because in theory, if you know them, you can never fall out of love. That's the difference. So you want to win, teach your kids to win, teach yourselves to win, and you'll find that the niggly, bitchy stuff, that's little tiny little things, just from following these steps, can be avoided, and all of a sudden relationships are a lot more fun.
I mean, I think our biggest a bit of comforting advice to leave you with tonight is a Jim Rohn quote. Jim Rohn is a brilliant personal development guru, and it's, for things to change, you have to change. So if you're the only one in the relationship that's watching this, you can make a change for both of you. And you can lead it, but the thing is if things don't change, you'll get what you've always got. So there does always have to be a little bit of discomfort and mixing it up, kind of like a new fitness journey. It gets a little bit uncomfortable at the start. But do we have any questions? Any questions? Tommy not listening? Is he gonna ask a question? No. Oh, he came in. No questions?
Easy peasy.
No.
Hayley's throwing Prey under the bus. That's cool. If you do have questions, guys, you don't want to chuck them up on here, flick us a private message if you want to, and we'll happily have a chat with you and do some stuff. We're by far not perfect at this stuff. We're constantly learning, but we do pour a lot of effort, especially Sheridan, into developing our relationship. And you'll see that evident in our relationships we have with you guys at the gym when we are there. We go the extra mile to be able to talk to you, to be able to hang out with you, to understand you, to understand your pains and how you receive love, how you give love. So we're constantly looking, and everything we do at FBFM is based off this book, about 4 or 5 books really. And you'll see it, once you read this book, you're like, oh my God, that's what they do. And it'll explain so much more. And we don't do it to be cheesy or anything. We do it because we love you guys. And we want to express how we do that. And it comes from us learning and being a little bit uncomfortable, which is really, really cool. So says there, Shane loved the transition time, was laughing in the back. And it's a really important one, that transition time. It actually is really, really good. My brother's a great example of that, actually. He used to come home and his wife was at home all day, and he'd been working all day. He'd use up all his words. He'd come home. By the time he walked to the door, he just wanted to go to the toilet. And, the first thing he busts in the door, well, she busts the door open and is chatting and yelling at him and like, you need to look after the kids and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, I'm on the toilet. Like, she never gave him a transition time because she thought, I've been with the kids all day. I need my time and da, da, da. But she forgot the importance of giving him 10, 20, 30 minutes, whatever he needed. It would have been different on the other side of it. Instead, when he walked in the door, they started with an argument every night. And they still do it to this day. So they never took the time to give the other person the transition time because the other person feels hard done by because they've been at home with the kids or they've been at work all day, whatever it is. So instead of doing that, seek to understand the other person and give them that little bit of transition time and watch what happens. They'll be more calm, relaxed. They'll want to talk to you. They want to listen to you. That's the cool spot.
I kind of think of it like if I constantly keep asking for Matt to pass me the sugar, but he keeps passing me the salt, we're going to have a challenge. So if you seek to understand yourself and seek to understand your partner better and just men in general, I guarantee you masculine men at the core will die for women. That's why they go fight war and do that kind of thing. It's in their core, it's in their being. And we need to let the men do that. We need to give them the platform to be men, not trying to make them into hairy women and vice versa. So thank you guys so much. If you do have any questions, please send them through, give us a call. We're here to chat, but I'll put up those references of the 5 love languages and the Queen's Code and anything else that might be of relevance.
Yeah. If you do anything tonight and you haven't done it before, do the 5 love languages. It's a quiz. It takes like 2 or 3 minutes. It's not long. It's just like, choose this or this, and you just click a button. You don't have to write anything. And at the end, it gives you a quick summary, send you an email, then you kind of know where you stand. And that's probably the most easiest thing to implement in any relationship, to understanding the other person the best you possibly can. Easy.
Thank you guys so much. If there's no more questions, no questions at all. Thank you guys so much. Thank you. Thanks for joining us. We will post the notes and the recording as well. But yeah, like I said, if you have any questions, please reach out. We're here to help. We love you guys. We miss you. Thank you.